Good morning or good afternoon, everyone, depending on where you're joining us from, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Kalina from Business Review, and I will be your host today. It is our pleasure to have Donaldson with us today, who will be presenting this webinar titled Beer Filtration, Emerging Trends and Equipment for Breweries. Today's guest speakers are Julian Larish, Brewery Business Development Specialist, Julia McLean, Associate Technical Business Development Specialist, and Roberto Melchiori, Business Development Manager, Skid Solutions. I would like to welcome you to our webinar platform on 24. You will notice that this webinar is browser-based, so if you disconnect for any reason, please just click on the link that you received via email to rejoin the session. In order to ask any questions, you can send them in via the questions widget at the top right corner of your screen. Just type in your question and click submit. Towards the end of the session, we will allocate some time to address any questions or thoughts that you may have. But your questions will also be available to be answered later on. Please use the yellow help widget if you require any assistance. And you can also move, resize, and maximize any of the windows in front of you to get a better view of the slides. But now, please allow me to welcome Roberto Melchiori. Roberto, over to you. Hello, Robert. You must be on mute. If you can please make sure to mute yourself. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Kalina. Sorry. Good morning and good afternoon. On behalf of Donaldson Process Filtration Team, I want to welcome you to this webinar. Donaldson is a filtration company with over 100 years of experience. We provide a premium filtration solution in different markets. As you can see in the slide, Donaldson is a technology-driven company with a lot of active patent, technical laboratory, and a global presence. Every year, Donaldson makes significant investment in R&D and the strategic acquisition to constantly bring you in the best filtration solution. Donaldson brings innovation across many different industries. Originally, Donaldson started with filtration solution in the agricultural and automotive industry. Over the year, Donaldson expanded to many different industrial and the life science market. Today, the focus of the webinar will be on the filtration solution that we provide to our partner in the brewing industry. Donaldson's vision is to support the product and the process integrity for their customer. We differentiate ourselves through specific application expertise, reliable supply and delivery, and the strong service and the support. This means that, for example, for the brewery industry, we have a team of brewmasters who can advise you on best practices to support product and the process integrity. We all have seen the impact of the current disruption in the global supply chain. Therefore, Donaldson decided to increase stock level of all critical items needed by our customer. This is allow us to provide short and reliable lead. Maintaining beer quality is essential in the brewery process. A first aspect, of course, is the clarification of the beer, both in terms of visual appearance and in terms of microbiological safety. Equally important are process utility like water and the gases that are used in the production process, as they can potentially bring impurity of contamination into the beer. New equipment trend and the production method may also require you to reevaluate how to maintain product and the process integrity all the time. Kalina, I give you the word to you for the first poll. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Indeed, it is now time for our first polling question in today's session. The question is, what is your total annual beer output in barrel or hectoliter? And the possible answers are less than 5,000, less than 100,000, less than a million, or more than a million. Please select the answer that is relevant to you and click on the black submit button on your end. Let's give the audience a couple of seconds to vote on that first poll. So 30.4% of the audience today have voted for less than 5,000. Then another 17.4% have voted for less than 100,000. Only 4% of the audience have voted for less than a million, and 47.8% for more than a million. Thank you so much for voting. And I will now hand over back to Julia.
Thank you, Kalina, and thank you to everyone who has joined us for the webinar today. So these are the 6 beer truths that are true for every brewery. First, every brewery needs clear, sediment-free water for many different applications, whether this be ingredient water or water used for cleaning. Second, there are several steps in the brewery where sterile gas is needed. Third, for wort aeration, the air must be microbiologically clean. Next step, every brewery needs healthy yeast, both before and during fermentation. Truth number 5, every brewery needs heat. And last but not least, every brewery who sells a bright product needs clarification in some form or another. So for craft breweries in the market, the main focus is their economic outlook, keeping up with new and upcoming trends in the marketplace, and ensuring that there is a quick and reliable return on investment for purchases on process equipment. This was especially challenging during COVID with the loss of on-premise sales and partnerships with local bars, creating the need to rely on liquor store sales and shelf stability of cans and bottles. Labor shortages are also a difficult outcome of the pandemic, creating the need for time savings and increased automation. Larger breweries have a much higher focus on energy consumption and the reduction of their carbon footprint. This is affected by electrical usage and water usage. Product range and availability is also a big focus for breweries, and keeping up with market trends and consumer needs in order to remain competitive in today's highly concentrated market. Supply chain issues have largely affected breweries of every size, creating setbacks in almost every area of production. So now I will pass it on to Julian to show you where in the brewing process our filtration solutions fit in.
Yeah, thank you, Julia, and welcome everybody also from my side to our webinar. So let's have a deeper dive into the individual utilities and the treatment needed to achieve the needs in the market we just saw. When we think about beer production, water is an important raw material. With well-treated water, you will produce, of course, a great beer. So starting with water, there are several process steps in the brewery where water treatment is necessary. What kind of treatment is needed largely depends on the incoming water quality, but also the final use of the water demands and different quality levels of water. So here we see a process map of a typical brewery, which serves as an example today. Of course, your process might look a little bit different, but the concepts are usually transferable just fine. So let's have a look at the individual points of use for water and the recommended water treatment. As already mentioned, the quality of your incoming water might vary largely, depending on the source, of course. Some breweries use municipal water, which usually is pre-treated to a very high quality level. But some other breweries have their own well water, which might need additional treatment. What is definitely recommended is a filter capable of removing incoming particles and suspended solids at the water inlet. In the filter cellar, additional filtration might be necessary for blending steps when high gravity beer is blended during the filtration process. Depending on the additional steps, microbiological safety can be increased by providing microbiological free water to these process steps. And finally, the filling machines have several uses for water. For example, we need particle-free water, which is used to clean your cans, bottles, kegs, and of course the machine itself. Sterile water should be used for the high pressure injection during the filling of the beer. So now let's continue with reviewing the steam quality and the role that Donaldson plays here. Our primary focus in steam filtration in the brewery is the equipment protection. For example, this comes into play during the heat transfer for heating up the mash tun or the wort kettle, or even the keg sterilization. The heat energy of steam may also result in undesired occurrences, such as the formation of rust and corrosion, or acceleration of degradation of plastic materials. Therefore, steam filtration is critical in order to help you to protect the production lines, the equipment being used, and of course your product itself. So let's have a look again to our map. For steam that is used for SIP, so steaming in place process, a culinary grade steam filter should be used. This will remove at least 95% of all particles of 2 micrometer and larger, and increases the steam quality in your whole production. In the yeast cellar, steam filters are used to increase the steam quality, which is being used to sterilize your yeast propagation systems. These yeast propagation systems should only be sterilized with high quality culinary steam, so you don't have a risk contamination in this delicate process step. As already mentioned, steam is also used for heating up the mash tun, the wort kettle, and also for other process steps in the wort house, and therefore should be also particle-free. When we look to the filling lines, steam can be used to heat up the water for the bottle washer or the water which is used during the pasteurization in the tunnel pasteur. It is also possible to use the filtered steam for sterilization of your kegs. Now we have a closer look to the compressed air and gas filtration. Getting to know your compressed air starts with the knowledge about the ISO standards surrounding compressed air. You must always remember that contaminations come in different forms. It could be, for example, particles, it could be microorganisms, but it also can be condensate and hydrocarbons. Regardless of compressor design, proper upstream filtration, dew point monitoring, and hydrocarbon removal serves as a foundational element for sterile air filtration. Technical gases are not different. Whether you are generating them on site or using bottles, you must utilize available filtration technology to guard against any potential contamination. So where do we even find these filter and quality levels for compressed air or gases? Anywhere in your brewery where air or gas could come directly into contact with either your product or your raw material, high quality treatment is recommended. This can happen during the wort aeration process or in your yeast propagation system. Additionally, you might have an atmospheric tank which have a direct exchange with your environment. So here also a filter is recommended to make sure no contamination can enter your ingredients. A very good example here is a flavor compound tank or a water storage tank. Gases like CO2 are used at several process steps, like emptying tanks, evacuation of bottles and kegs, or flushing out beer before cleaning steps. But it also can be injected directly into your product to increase the CO2 content of your beer during the filtration process. At none of these points should you accept the risk of contamination and make sure your gases have the quality needed to keep your product safe. So now finally, let's look at how filters can support you in handling your actual product. Let's talk about beer filtration. There are several applications that need to be mentioned when we talk about filtering beer. First, filters can be used to clarify your beer, so to achieve the wanted turbidity of your product. Filters for cold sterilization can be used to achieve microbiological safety for your product and be an alternative to classical thermal treat systems. And filters are necessary after certain process steps, as my colleague Roberto will show in an application example later on. In our example here, beer filters should be put in several locations. Especially filters can, of course, be found in the filter cellar. Here our filters are installed after the classical beer filtration systems. Depending what system is used, you will find cartridge filtration after Kieselguhr or PVPP filter. These so-called trap filters with typical size ranges of 10 or 5 micrometer are necessary to remove filter aids like Kieselguhr and PVPP from your product. If you alternatively have a crossflow system in place instead of Kieselguhr, it is also recommended to follow up the system with a 2.4 or 1 micrometer filter. Additionally, in our portfolio, we have filters for the cold sterilization of the beer for microbiology protection. Cold sterilization with filter cartridges can support you in achieving a long shelf life and can be a real alternative to pasteurization systems. After now looking at all these applications and filter opportunities, we have our next poll question. So Galina, it's your turn.
Thank you so much, Julian. The second poll question for today is, which filtration application in the brewery are you most interested in? You can choose between beer filtration, water filtration, air or gas filtration, steam filtration, or all of the above. Again, let's give the audience a few seconds. Okay, so 34% have voted for beer filtration. Then we have 9% who have voted for water filtration. Very few, 3%, have voted for steam filtration, and 53% half of the audience have voted for all of the above. Thank you so much for voting again, and I will hand over to Roberto for the next part of the presentation.
Thank you, Kalina. In the last year, Donaldson continued to invest in filtration solution through in-house development and the strategic acquisition. So far, my colleague Julian has given you an introduction to our filtration technology. Now, I will be present to you how we can integrate this technology in automated solution. In the next few slides, I will present several references and the solution that we have in our portfolio today, focusing, of course, on the brewing industry. I start by introducing our automated trap filter, an application used in brewery and especially after the DE and the PVPP filter. The main advantage compared to the plate and frame installation are the small small footprint, the reduced maintenance, time and cost, and the lower chance of contamination. For this installation, we use our dedicated TR filter. The full installation can be easily integrated in existing production line. I will now like to have a look with you at example of installation. The project you can see on the pictures was carried out at the Budweiser Brewery in Czech Republic. At the end of the project, we are able to show to the customer that we have achieved the following result. We were able to smoothly integrate the trap filter installation in the existing production line. We could immediately see the capacity increase compared to the plat and the frame filter. The customer later confirmed to us that the maintenance becomes significantly easier and less costly. The customer was able to use the space that become available in the production area much more efficiently. For this specific project, the customer was not able to install a crane to open the trap filter housing. Therefore, a housing with a double opening was designed to allow for easy filter element change out. Our expertise in complete solution is not only limited to the trap filter part. As my colleague Julian already mentioned it, our filter element can be found in various applications. Today, in our product portfolio, we have a manual and a semi and a full automated solution. We have just launched our modular skid solution on the market. As you can see from the photo, this solution offers pre-mounted valve and the wheels that allow you to easily position it in your production environment. Several options are available, like, for example, the integration of pump or a dedicated CIP unit. And above, all the modularity allow you to adapt the system as your production need may change over time. This system can be used in various applications, like water filtration, beer clarification, hop retention, or cold stabilization. All these systems can be tailor-made to your specific needs. The last reference I want to show you today is a project we did it at the brewery Tornio in Finland. The customer want to integrate it cross-flow and the cold stabilization solution, and we worked together with the customer to find the right solution. First, we analyze the customer different beer recipe and adapt the cross-flow system at the membrane choices accordingly. From the cross-flow unit, the beer goes to the BB tank. Behind the BB tank, we installed a semi-automated cold sterilization skid. The skid was equipped with a dedicated CIP unit to regenerate the membrane and increase the lifetime of the sterile membrane. I give the word to Kalina for the next poll. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The final poll for today's session is: how do you think the topic of cold sterilization will be handled at your brewery in the future? We already use filters for cold sterilization. No need we continue to use a pasteurizer or flash pasteurizer. We are considering to change to cold sterilization, or not sure yet. Again, please select the relevant answer and click submit. So 10% have voted for already using filters for cold sterilization. Then equal percentage of the audience members have voted for the second and third possible answer. And 57.9 have voted for not sure yet. Thank you so much for your votes. And I will now hand over to Julia.
Thank you, Kalina. For all filter applications in a brewery, liquid, air, and steam, we have filters fit for the job in our Donaldson LifeTech portfolio. These filter elements are designed to provide strength, achieving improved pressure stability, optimized performance, such as excellent flow rate and lower pressure drops, and lastly, availability, utilizing our single-piece flow manufacturing techniques to help provide filtration solution in a timely manner. So one area of mass improvement is our ISO Class 7 cleanroom used in the manufacturing of our LifeTech depth and membrane filtration solutions. Here you see one of our filter media pleaters in operation in Hahn, Germany. I will start by introducing out the air filtration solutions that we have in our portfolio. Inside the cage, the filter element is pleated to provide a higher surface area, resulting in a lower differential pressure and higher particle retention. So pictured here, we have two membrane filter elements, both with the Donaldson Tetratex PTFE membrane, which is inherently hydrophobic and highly porous. The PTN and the SRF filter are used in tank venting applications in order to keep a sterile environment inside of holding tanks. This can be used in flavoring tanks or whatever is at atmospheric temperature. And the PSRF-CV can be used for sterile treatment of gases like CO2, nitrogen, air. This can be applied for wort aeration, yeast propagation, packaging, or any other area where sterile gas is needed. Here you will see our PGSLN filter element. This is a pleated element made up of 100% stainless steel. This is great for steam filtration because of its high temperature capabilities. The stainless steel design also allows it to be back flushable. The filter is able to capture contaminants that could be abrasives for valves and seals if left in your steam. There are 6 different micron sizes available for this element, so that it can be applied in areas with indirect steam heating, such as the mash tun or the wort kettle, as well as direct product contact steam, such as keg sterilization or SIP applications. In some cases, it's also used as a liquid filter for beer with excess hot matter because of the large range of pour sizes that it has to offer. In addition to the PGSLN element, here are some other solutions we offer for liquid filtration. The first item listed is Donaldson's LifeTech PES WN filter. This is a pleated polyether sulfone membrane filter for sterile water applications. The pore size steadily decreases towards the center of the medium, resulting in a highly porous structure, providing for a sterile grade membrane filter with a log reduction value of 7 for our 0.2 micron element. Sterile water is important for high gravity brewing applications where deaerated water is added to the final product without later pasteurization. For trap filtration and cold stabilization of beer, Donaldson offers the PPN or PP100N as well as the PES BNA. These are also available in varying pour sizes to meet the needs of your brewery. These are very effective in DE or PVPP retention and can also be used to protect your crossflow systems. As you can see, these are very flexible for various applications, and we can work with you for whatever your specific needs are for your brewery. Oh, and now I will pass it on to Julian to wrap up today's presentation before we go on to the Q&A.
Yeah, thanks, Julia. And we want to close this out with that hopefully today you have learned that Donaldson is here to help. We have a large application support department, including our sector specialist team for the different food and beverage sectors. For breweries, Julia and me are responsible and support you in choosing the right products and in optimizing your filter handling. Roberto and his team will support you in system engineering solution. This can be, for example, a new trap filter skid replacing an older sheet filter. We can also assist with proper sizing, assist with SIP and CIP routines, and many more. Additional to our specialist team and the technical support, Donaldson offers a complete lab service portfolio, which includes, for example, the analysis of used filters to optimize your filter choice, or media analysis, for example, water analysis, including particle counting and filterability tests, or integrity testing, both of hydrophilic and hydrophobic filters, and many more. And we also want to mention our Donaldson shop. Here, without registration, you will be able quickly to find both the filters and the support you need. At the end, I hope you will all stay connected through our social media channels like YouTube or LinkedIn. So thank you everybody from our side for participation. And now I think we can go to the Q&A section.
Thank you so much for, apologies. Thank you so much for this presentation. And indeed, as mentioned, it is now time for our Q&A session. Just a reminder that you can send in your questions via the questions widget at the top right corner of your screen. But for now, we'll start with the first question for today's session, which is, I use bottled oxygen for wort aeration. Is there a need to filter the oxygen?
I can take this one. Yes, even with a beverage or medical grade oxygen, there's always a chance for cross-contamination in the supply or possible potential for aerobic growth in the gas supply or the tubing or pipes. So it's always best to plug a filter in there just to be completely safe when you're working with such a fragile product.
Thank you very much, Julia. The next question is, what is the best way to treat or filter my incoming water?
So I will take this one. So first of all, we have to know the source of the water. Is it well water or municipal water or any other water which you use? Then we apply the proper filter technology to treat the water, such as, for example, carbon for absorption of chlorine, death filter media to help to reduce suspended solids. And these steps will be also help to optimize the water for example, reverse osmosis systems or the water for deaeration. When you are not sure about the water quality, for example, how high the particle load is in your water, we can support you on site, and we have the possibility to do some small-scale trials where we can test the filterability, and so we get a hint how the water will be blocked, for example, the filter, and we can identify possible filter combinations which lead to a longer lifetime of the filter.
Thank you so much. We then have another question, which is, I am planning to use steam in my brewery. Do I really need to filter the steam?
Okay, I take this also. Yes, steam filtration is needed for two reasons in the brewery and in the steam applications. First, steam filtration will be helped to protect heat exchangers, which are used in the warehouse or in the pasteurization processes, and this will help you to maintain good thermal efficiency. And second, if steam sterilize, for example, your propagation systems or your kegs in the filling area, then filtered polymer steam is the best practice in this application. So because of that, and because the steam gets in touch with the surface of the kegs and maybe the yeast propagation tanks, it is good to have filtered steam, because the steam gets in the end in contact with yeast and
Thank you very much. The next question is, will Donaldson be at DrinkTech this year?
So I take this also because, yeah, we will be at the DrinkTech, and I'm very happy about this because 2 years without any trade shows or only virtual trade shows, we are all happy to see us live on our booth. And yeah, so come to the fair, visit us at our booth, have good conversations with my colleagues and me, and hopefully have a beer with us. And yeah, you will find us, I think, in Hall B3, and the booth number is 344.
Perfect, thank you. Another one coming through is, I plan to install a new 16-head bottling line, and the manufacturer calls for filtered water on the on the foam over. What kind of filters should I use?
Good question. I take this one, Kalina. Thank you. And this is a good application for a small and affordable sterile water system. By using sterile filter, you can gain a level of protection, and that is important to maintain your beer's quality by reduce the risk of unwanted microbiome for entering in the bottle. I add also here is we have, like we mentioned before, system solution can be really easily integrated for this application, and they will be also connected directly with the production.
Thank you so much. And the next question is, I run a large AT 120 barrel system, and for some beers we use a DE filter system. Our trap filters have not been lasting very long recently. What do you suggest that we do?
I can take this one. First, I would verify that the plates or the candles inside the DE filter are not damaged, so nothing is falling through there. Second, revisit operating procedures for pre-coat, body feed, make sure you're using the right amounts. And then lastly, I would make sure the CIP and SIP procedure for the actual trap filter itself hasn't been changed, or just that you are doing it often enough, or that your actual trap filters haven't changed at all. If those have been switched out, that can really change the performance. So if you are not following a current CIP or SIP procedure for your trap filter, please let us know, and we can work with you and see what's going on with that.
Thank you so much. Next question is, a lot of filter suppliers have extended lead times at the moment. What are your lead times for pre-filters and final membrane filters, and for steam filters?
Thank you, Kalina. I can take a good question. I can take this answer. And like I mentioned it before in my presentation, Donaldson invests a lot in this period to have stock material. At the moment, our stock is able to support all our clients. I want to say at the moment it's difficult to say to you which is the lead time, because specifically you can contact us and say what is your request, but I can assure you we can support and help you in this moment.
Thank you so much. Another question is, can we utilize portable skid system for doing regeneration or filter cleaning?
I can take also this one, Kalina. Thank you for the question. And yes, you can use our skid system also to do the regeneration, the filter cleaning part. For us, it's always important to understand what you needed for that. That's the reason why we have always a direct contact with the client. We have a questionnaire where you can say to us the capacity you need it. But of course, our system will be able to do this application.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Another question is there article available for implementing cold sterilization as an alternative for pasteurization?
I can take also this question, Karina. Yes, of course, like we say, we have a cold sterilization in our portfolio in the part of the skid solution, but of course also in the part of the membrane. Again, especially in the beer market, it is important for us to understand always the quality of the beer, what we need to filtrate with our membrane, and to see the right solution for the client. That's the reason why, yes, we can support you, but we need to have also contact directly with our sector specialists, especially for the beer part, and analyze together what you needed.
Thank you so much, Roberto. And the final question for today's session would be the following. I have a small 10-barrel system. I currently do not filter my beers, but now I want to start brewing brighter beers. What kind of filtration system will I need?
I can take this one. So there are a lot of factors that go into this. First, we would be able to work with you on this. We would probably first want to know if you're using a pump or if you're using CO2 to push your beer. And then we would also want to know if you're using any fining agents to help that yeast flocculate and fall out. And then we would want to know your flow rates, and then we could work with you to properly size a filtration system and figure out what media you need to use. And, you know, that's going to be dependent on your available labor and your batch sizes. So we can offer the individual components that I went over earlier, or we could also fit in a manual skid system like Roberto discussed in the presentation.
Thank you so much. This is all of the time that we'll have for questions in today's session, but please do not hesitate to send in more questions. They will be available to the presenters to be answered at a later date. Thank you very much again. That just also leaves me to thank the presenters for this great session and to Donaldson for sponsoring this session. To the attendees, you will receive an email telling you how you can access the on-demand version of this webinar, or you can access this through our website, which is www.pmi-live.com. We look forward to sharing further webinars with you, so please do keep an eye on the website just mentioned. And you can also follow us on Twitter at BR Webinars, or join our LinkedIn group, Business Review Webinars BMI. Thank you everyone once again, and I hope that you have a great day.